How do movies make money? We all know that some movies become so popular to the level of reaching billions of dollars. Some people think the only way that movies make money is through the box office. Of course, it's the most important way, but there's so much more strategies movies earn the big bucks. But first, let's start off with movie budgets. The amount of money spent on film productions range incredibly. Below is information on the different levels of production and the cost budgets involved. No-budget productions are also categorized as short films and include several films made by student filmmakers to highlight their talent while on university courses and shortly after leaving training courses. With a budget of $0 to maximum of $50,000, crews will range from 1 to 10 individuals. Low-budget movies are films that have a limited budget to make, since they do not attract a very commercial distribution and producers can only finance them if they are at a low-level budget. Budgets are expected to fall within the range of $100,000 to a few million pounds. Complete union wages cannot be charged to the crew, and these can be viewed as non-union shoots, providing benefit share with all earning the same minimum wage or tiered at 3 tiers. Low-budget characteristics are useful for gaining experience and some credit, but should not be seen as a big move in the industry unless the project is a properly recorded low-budget film that would be between $1 million and $3 million. As for the productions of a medium budget, cover a very large range of productions from about £5 million to about £30 million, or even more. These are possibly independent British-European features and are often referred to as indie midges. Studio and high-budget productions are the Harry Potters, 007, Pirates of the Caribbean, Mad Max, etc., with budgets from £50 million upward and most often backed by a major studio. The range of costs involved in productions are vast. Now let's start off with how do movies make the money. Number 1. Ticket sales. In recent years, theater attendance has been difficult, making it much harder for studios and distributors to profit from films. Usually, a part of theater ticket sales goes to theater owners, with the remaining percentage being earned by the studio and/or distributor. Traditionally, the greater chunk went to the studio during the opening weekend of a film, while the theater operator's percentage grew as the weeks went by. So, a studio could make up about 60% of the ticket sales of a film in the US and about 20% to 40% of that on sales of tickets overseas. For each film, the percentage of revenue an exhibitor gets depends on the contract. Many contracts are meant to help a theater hedge against movies that flop at the box office by offering theaters a greater share in ticket sales for those movies, so a deal will get the studio a smaller percentage of a badly performing movie and a larger percentage of the take of a hit film. Since they get a greater share, studios and distributors usually make more from domestic revenue than from overseas sales. Still, especially today, overseas ticket sales are incredibly important. This may be partially why you see more science fiction, films of action and fantasy, and why superhero films are such a phenomenon. Number 2. Forewalling. Often the distributor doesn't want to share the ticket price with the exhibitor, or for reasons of their own, the exhibitor will refuse to book a film. In these situations, the distributor will purchase the screens where the film will be playing a flat fee for the run to the theater. The distributor would then be able to retain 100% of the ticket price, which is also a much better offer for the cinemas than the old JP scam. Usually, there are 2 types of films that get forewalled. One is smaller, fan-only image, like The Devil's Carnival by Darren Lynn Bousman. On a tour of the US, Bousman took the film, shouldering the risk by purchasing cinemas and selling tickets directly. Yet, he still had to enjoy the benefits, and The Devil's Carnival 2's very presence speaks volumes. The other is The Lost Leader. Veronica Mars was arguably one of those. It was never intended to make a big pile of money at the box office, or at least never planned, but the four-walled engagements gave the film a theatrical release and all the benefits it would bring to its profile. Number 3. DVD, Blu-ray, or download sales and rental. As noted, at the same time as their cinema launches, some films are being offered via VOD. This is very much the trend now for smaller films, the kind of image that the chains of the Curzon or Picture House can play. And those on different formats that are not released day and date will very easily jump from large screen to small. The present UK's theatrical window is 17 weeks, with the exhibitors anticipating wide releases for at least that long to stay exclusive to cinemas. Not before, of course, they want to screen movies for that duration, but because they want some perceived distance from the imminent release of home entertainment. Of course, the ill health of bricks and mortar DVDs and Blu-ray retail is all subjective, and what shops remain will have much less presence than they used to, but they do not seem to be on the verge of fully withering up. Number 4. TV and streaming services. The movie soon appears on TV or gradually on an Amazon Prime or Netflix-type premium streaming service after it had its time on the aisle ends and has been shuffled through the back catalog shelves, and after Amazon stops pimping it to you and you will have to go looking for it directly. The different networks of Sky Movies make for a fascinating analysis here. They have their high-profile premiere splashes promoted and granted good slots on the calendar with new and big-name films. They then fill out their timetable of other movies. Of any kind, they prefer to buy them in bundles when licensing films for screening. Number 5. Foreign sales. It is necessary to sell the distribution rights in foreign territories when a producer cobbles together the budget for an independent film, modestly budgeted at say $25 million to cover the budget of the film and hopefully bring in revenue. If they have a great international sales agent who can sell their film in key overseas markets, independent filmmakers can actually make cash. When casting a film, producers will also create their wish list, and the list will generally be full of well-known names who fly overseas. You are far more likely to sell the rights to China and France if you have Johnny Depp or Angelina Jolie as your star. Number 6. Merchandise. With Walt Disney and his licensing of Mickey Mouse and surprisingly the Three Little Pigs, movie merchandising began in earnest, and Star Wars later, and then the wall of figures in the range of hundreds upon dozens took over the toy store and the department store. Action figures have always been a huge part of merchandising, and it does not seem to be such a stretch to indicate that the popularity of the articulated figure as an ancillary monkey maker has propelled the hellbent commitment of Hollywood towards blockbusters and franchise movies. No one is ever going to sell any deconstructing Harry or the Squid and the Whale toys, so to persuade their financiers, they rely on a sense of credibility and low risk scale. And finally, number 7, product placement. It's actually that product placement is used instead of making money from a film to cover spending, and often the payment is in kind, with ads for the film being given rather than cash. For example, consider a well-known car manufacturer and a race of little blue creatures 3 apples high that are linguistically spiteful. Instead of the studio making money from the prominent presence of such cars in its films, the car maker instead offers to provide their dealerships and TV ads with an equal amount of marketing. And when money changes hands before the film starts, it will probably be fed into the ledger even before the expenses are counted. So there is some argument to be made here that product placement does not make movies more lucrative, it only makes them less expensive.